The study of affine schemes and more general schemes is a central part of modern algebraic geometry. It, however, is difficult to get its overview for beginners. So in order for you to understand it, I broke it down into 10 steps. The 7th step is Morphisms of Affine Scheme. So, let's delve deeper into the concept of morphisms of affine schemes. 1. Definition of a morphism of affine schemes. A morphism of affine schemes is a function that connects two affine schemes while preserving their structure. If you imagine an affine scheme as a landscape, a morphism would be like a map that guides you from one landscape to another, without changing the essential features of the landscapes. 2. Connection with ring homomorphisms. Every morphism of affine schemes comes from a ring homomorphism in the opposite direction. If you have a function between two rings that preserves the ring operations addition and multiplication, you can turn it into a morphism of the corresponding affine schemes. This is a bit like how you can turn a recipe into a cooking process. The ingredients and steps in the recipe correspond to the elements and operations in the ring, and the cooking process corresponds to the morphism of affine schemes. 3. Properties of morphisms of affine schemes. Morphisms of affine schemes have some nice properties. They preserve the structure of the affine schemes, meaning that they carry over the features of one affine scheme to another in a consistent way. They also play nicely with each other if you have a morphism from one affine scheme to a second, and another morphism from the second to a third. You can combine them to get a morphism from the first to the third. 4. Role in algebraic geometry. Morphisms of affine schemes are a key tool in algebraic geometry, the study of solutions to polynomial equations. They allow us to move between different solutions, and to understand how these solutions relate to each other. They also help us to build more complex solutions from simpler ones. In summary, a morphism of affine schemes is a way of connecting two affine schemes that preserves their structure. It's a bit like a map or a guide that shows you how to get from one landscape to another, without losing your way or missing any important features. This concept is a fundamental part of algebraic geometry, helping us to understand the relationships between different solutions to polynomial equations.